If there is one thing that irks me, that bothers me, that bugs me, that just makes me go, when I hear people in personal development talk about it, is when they say, change your mindset. You just need to change your mindset, to change your life, to do better. Change your mindset. Oh, it's as simple as that, right? I can just change my mindset. Kind of like how I change my underwear or change my clothes. Change your mindset. Ta-da! Here's one I made earlier. It's not that simple, because if it was that simple, we'd all be doing it. And so I find it so disrespectful when people in personal development just say, oh, just change your mindset. So what can you do? What are the things that you actually practically can do to take steps towards changing your mindset? Because ultimately, yes, it is correct that everything stems from how you think, your mindset. Here are 3 things that I have found that have worked for me. And this has been experimenting, this has been reading, this has been going to coaching and masterminds. And these are the 3 things that I have come away from, all of the things, distilling all of the things that I've learned that I think would be steps that would work for most people to start to make change towards their mindset. But here's one thing that I want to be 100% transparent about. Changing your mindset is not an overnight thing. It's not something you just decide today, I'm just going to change my mindset. The decision is, in an instant, absolutely change my mindset. But the actual practicality of overcoming all the years of stories of the way you've been behaving is something that is a gradual process. It's something that requires you to work towards. And so what are the steps that you can start to take to move towards a mindset that will help you achieve the goals, the dreams that you have in your life? The first one, in my mind, is to make the decision. I was recently reading a book. It is called How We Change and 10 Reasons Why We Don't by Dr. Ross Ellenhorn. And in it, he talks about change, and he says that personal change has to come from a decision. No one can make you do it. There are no books, there are no gurus, there is no how-to manual. It ultimately comes down to you, the individual, the person, making a decision about the change that you want to make in your life and then committing to that change. So the very first thing in making change and changing your mindset is make the decision. Who do you want to be? One of the things too, when it comes to goals and achieving goals, is we often think first about, what do I need to do? Tell me the steps I need to do. And we think about it as, I'll do the things, then I'll be, then I'll have. Or in fact, it's actually first I'll do the things, then I'll have, then I will be. But that's actually reversed. It's actually be, then do, then have. Be, do, have. That's the sequence you need to think about when it comes to making change in your life. So starting with, who do I need to be? What kind of person do I need to be? What are the characteristics of someone who would achieve the goal, the dream that I have? Who do I want to be? And I'd actually suggest that you start by writing it down. Like literally write down, for me to achieve my goal, here's who I need to be. And list out all the ways of being, not the ways of doing, the ways of being that are going to help you get there. And sometimes we don't always know the answer in terms of, well, I don't know who I need to be. And this is where modeling comes in. This is where if there's someone that you see, whether it's someone you know personally, or maybe someone who's in the public eye that has or is achieving or is doing the things that you want to do, maybe look at them and try and extrapolate. Who are they being? What are their ways of being that have led to them being successful or achieving this goal that I have? And then modeling that. So start by writing down, who do I need to be? The second thing that I think will really help towards starting to change your mindset is building self-trust. One of the things that we erode every time we don't keep our word to ourselves, or every time we don't achieve the goal that we're going after, is we start to lose self-trust. We start to doubt ourselves. We start to doubt what they call our self-efficacy, our ability to go after the things that we want to do and to be confident that we can do that. We start to lose faith in ourselves. To the very first thing that you need to do to rebuild that self-trust is, first of all, to be in self-integrity. What does that mean? One of my favorite books, and you're going to tire of me talking about it, is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And one of the agreements is be impeccable with your word. Now, most of the time we think about being impeccable with our word in terms of our promises to other people. But I'd ask you, are you impeccable with your word to yourself? Do you tell yourself, I'm going to do this, and then actually follow through and do the thing? Because all too often we're great at keeping our word to other people. We're not so great at keeping our word to ourselves. And over time, we start to erode our self-trust. And so it's about, number one, being in self-integrity, keeping our promises to ourselves. And then number two, our habits. This is where your habits will start to help you. Building the habits that will help you move towards your goal. And when it comes to building those habits, I always like to emphasize, start small. Set yourself up for success. Because all too often we make these grand plans and grand decisions. We're going to change our life. And then we get overwhelmed by all the steps. So think about, okay, how can I break this into small steps? What small step can I do today that'll lead to success? What can I do today? Is it that I promised I'm going to go to the gym, but to start today, I'm just going to make sure that I get up on time. I get up early today. And then maybe the next step might be, I'm just going to spend 5 minutes working out. Little things. Or if you're trying to eat healthier, rather than saying, I'm going to completely cut out sugar and completely cut out carbs, maybe start with one thing that you can cut out. You know what? I'm not yet ready to cut out all the sugars, but today I'm just going to eat less candy. Instead of eating 5 pieces of candy, today I'm going to drop to 3. So taking little steps gradually that allow you to feel some pride in yourself, some pride in your achievement, success motivation, as they call it. So the more successful you feel, the more you start to build your self-trust, the more you start to build your sense of self-efficacy, that belief in yourself that you can achieve things, the more you start to build your faith in yourself, which leads you to do more. And before you know it, you're well on your way to truly trusting yourself and truly being in self-integrity. So number 2 is all about rebuilding your self-trust and being in self-integrity. Number 3, when it comes to changing your mindset, is stories. Our whole life is stories. Everything as we go through life is an interpretation. We choose to apply a meaning to anything and everything that happens in our life. You can have 2 people who can witness the exact same thing, but they will each tell a different story, a different interpretation of the events, and it's based on what they've experienced before, based on their history, based on their upbringing, based on all of these things that lead them to tell the stories that they tell, or to the interpretation that they put on something. And so one of the things that you can start to do in changing your mindset is the stories that you believe about yourself. The stories that you believe about what is possible for you. You see, as you've gone through life, you've started to tell yourself stories. So, for example, if you've experienced disappointment, you might have started to tell yourself the story that I'm just not a person who can achieve these things, or I'm just a person who never finishes, or I'm a person who can never achieve their goals. And the more you tell that story, the more you start to believe it, the more it starts to become who you are. And so it's really being cognizant of the stories that you're telling. What am I believing about myself? And remembering that it's a choice. You get to tell the story that you want to believe. And so, what can you do to start to tell stories that are empowering, stories that are going to lead to you achieving the success that you want to achieve? And you know what? It might be a big jump to say, I'm someone who works out every day. But it could be, I'm someone who makes a commitment to themselves today and keeps that commitment. And then tomorrow you keep that commitment. And before you know it, you started to build this story in your mind that you're someone who keeps your commitments to yourself. Be careful also about the words you use to yourself, what you say to yourself. Oftentimes, the things that we say about ourselves and to ourselves are things we would never dream of saying to anybody else, and not even an enemy, and especially not a friend. So when you speak to yourself, be kind. Be aware of the words that you use. Don't beat yourself up. You made a mistake. Okay, I made a mistake. What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What can I do differently next time? One of the pillars of worthy, as I've mentioned before, worthy is made up of 6 pillars. It's a mnemonic for 6 pillars. The word worthy is a mnemonic, and each of the letters stands for a pillar. One of the letters is R. And R in the pillars of worthy is all about reflection, resting, and rewarding yourself. And reflection is such a key part that so many of us don't ever take the time to do. When things don't go according to plan, when things don't go the way we wanted them to or expected them to do, we tend to just close the door on that. We don't want to go back there. We don't want to look at that. But your failures, your things that don't go according to plan, will teach you so much more than the things that do work out. And so taking the time to really reflect on, what didn't go well? Why didn't I make change the last time that I tried? And what can I do different this time that'll lead me to success? And so, like I said, it's a lifelong journey, this mindset thing. It's something that you'll continually be working on. But 3 things to keep in mind as you change your mindset, as you work towards a mindset that'll support you in achieving the goals and dreams that you have, is number 1, who do you want to be? Making a decision about the person that you want to be and the person who would achieve the goals, the dreams that you have. Number 2, building self-trust. Being in self-integrity will lead you to self-trust, and then building habits that support you towards your journey. And number 3, choosing carefully the stories that you choose to tell about yourself and the stories that you choose to believe about yourself. Telling a different story, telling a story that's empowering, telling a story that'll lead to your success.